Silvio Kroll claiming the gold in the vaulting competition. Now let's go back to the balance beam where a young lady from Czechoslovakia, Iveta Polakova, is competing.
Now she punches right to a handstand as a walkover. Here's 2 leaps. Setting up for another tumbling pass. Now that's a different pass. That's a front flip with a half twist. We call that a Barani. And that's not easy to do on the beam. You have to really be aggressive there. She can't hold back. Back handspring, back layout, very solid. Now we talked about the dance maneuvers. You'll usually see a leap or a full turn, and that's required on beam to do some sort of a dance skill.
Iveta's preliminary score was 9.6.
Round off, double back flip, steps into that double back, didn't punch like a normal round off. That's very difficult. Takes a lot of power in the legs.
She is virtually out of the running for a gold medal, and that she would need more than a 10 to overtake the leaders.
Now here's that front flip with a half turn. We call it a Barani. She looks at the beam the whole time, takes a little bobble, but that's a tough skill.
Her score, 9.713, giving her a total of 19.313. Now let's head back over to vaulting, where Young Hoon Park, 22 years of age, is ready to compete. He's a 1984 Olympian for the Korean team.
And he's very powerful in vaulting. There's basically a laid out curve. He piked a little bit coming in.
Now he has a preliminary score of 9.55. He'd have to do better than about 9.75 to have any shot at a medal.
And it's going to be tough. You know, the Cuervo is probably one of the easier, superior difficulty vaults, and that's why you see so many of them now. It's a handspring, half turn. It's basically an open pike Cuervo. Took a couple hops, too. That's not going to be good enough to overtake Kroll.
Usually we're used to seeing men gymnasts compete just one vault, but in individual event finals, they use both vaults and average the scores together.
That's right. I'd like to see them use both vaults in the all-around competition and preliminaries as well. I think it would add a little bit more flavor and variety to the event, because sometimes it's just a one-shot deal. Second vault. Now that is a laid out Cuervo. The first one was pike. He may get a deduction because it's simply the same family of vault.
9.55, the preliminary score.
Sometimes you're training so hard in the all-around that you don't really spend the time to learn a second vault. And this is a much better vault than the first one. I'm sure that's the one that he uses, of course, on a regular basis.
There you see his new score, 9.675, giving him a total of 19.225. And it's time now to go balance beam for a popular young lady here in Stuttgart. She is from Wolfsburg. She's 19 years of age. Her name is Anja Wilhelm. Now to take the lead, she needs a 9.875. And for this young lady, it's within her reach.
And she goes right into it. Cartwheel, back handspring, back layout, right off the board.
Wilhelm is 5 feet 1 inches tall. Contrast that to Silovash, who's 4 feet 5 inches tall. That's a 6-inch swing. And on the balance beam, that's a good swing.
And you can bet that it'd be a lot tougher for her to do 4 back handsprings on the beam that many of the smaller girls can do.
But in her favor, she has the ability to look longer on the beam. She has better dance lines. And it takes her just 1 or 2 tumbling moves to get to the end, which looks like a lot of amplitude.
That's right. Some aerial cartwheels. And she's right on, and this is great because the crowd is really behind her. Now, doing a lot of tumbling skills, as we said, it will be harder for her if she's tall. The trend really on beam is to do as many as 3 tumbling skills in a row. They're required to do a series of at least 2 tumbling skills.
If you watched the 1984 Olympics, this lady was there. She finished 8th in the balance beam event.
Very, very nice dismount sequence.
9.8 for preliminary score. She needs a 9.875 if she's going to claim the gold medal.
And here's that mount. She hits the board. There's a cartwheel. Back handspring step out. Back layout step out right at the very beginning.
Listen to the crowd. Listen to that crowd.
Oh, they love it. This is about as excited as they've been. And here's her dismount. Front flip right into 2 back handsprings, into a layout double twist, and she sticks the landing.
19-year-old Anja Wilhelm of Wolfsburg, West Germany, and her score is 9.925. This lady has gotten herself a gold medal. So the hometown fans will not go home disappointed. Anja Wilhelm the gold, while the Romanians claim the silver and the bronze. In the men's vaulting competition, Silvio Kroll of East Germany took the gold, while West Germany's Jürgen Brummer took the silver. Park of Korea took the bronze. Stuttgart, West Germany. I'm Leandra Rade along with Peter Vidmar, and we're closing in on the final moments of this gymnastics meet. The men have moved to the parallel bars. The women are on their final event, the floor exercise. But here's the man from the United States, Colin Godkin. He competes for the University of Minnesota, and this is his 2nd year on the national team.
Colin did a great job in the preliminaries. As you can see, scored a 9.7. A little bit off on that peach basket straddle cut.
Colin's preliminary score was 9.7.
Now here's a Diamidov 1 1/4. Swing down up to a V press. Didn't hold the press off from what he was in yesterday, as I said. Pirouette in. There's a Stutz. Front uprise. Oh, he's really having a off night there. Healy twirl, back Stutz. That's a very difficult combination. And a double back dismount. And a big step. Not quite the routine that he did in preliminaries. As you can see, he's holding his wrist. I talked to him earlier. He does have a very, very bad wrist. It's been getting worse on his trip the last couple of weeks. Here's his double back dismount. And a big step forward. Under rotated.
A tough break for the 22-year-old young man from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 9.5 was the score he received for that routine. 19.2 is total. This is Mike Bell of East Germany. His preliminary score was 9.85.
And look at this. A giant into a double back over the bars. Right into a front uprise. You can see why he's wearing those pads on his arm, because of that landing on the bars. There's a Stutz. This is a very tough routine, very original performance. A giant front uprise into a straddle planche. Here he is on the end of the bars. You don't see that very often. That's called a mana. And a double front. Nice landing.
Mike Bell of East Germany bringing in a preliminary score of 9.85. Should do just as good, if not better, with this routine.
Now here's that first part that Bell does. Glide, straddle up to a handstand. A very fast giant right over the top to get enough speed to do this 1.5 backflips right in the middle of the bars. Had a little trouble in catching the bars there, but it's a very difficult skill. And here's a really nice dismount. His double front and lands perfectly. He's a rising star on their team.
His score 9.8, so he is our leader with a score of 19.65. A name to remember for the '88 Olympics. And now let's go back to the hometown favorite, Anja Wilhelm. She is competing now on the floor exercise, having claimed her gold medal on the balance beam. Her preliminary score in this event is 9.8.
You know, when you're off to a good start or when you had a great previous competition, it really keeps you on a high for that last routine, and it helps to take some of the pressure off too. And usually you see better performances when something like that happens.
It also helps to get the crowd behind you. Of course, she already had the crowd behind her because she's from West Germany.
That's for sure.
But they're really watching for her now for that outstanding balance beam performance.
I'm impressed with the arena. They've sold out just about every session of this competition.
Anja Wilhelm, Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Vornote 9,8.
Off back handspring, pull in, back out, perfect landing. Boy, Boy, she's got to be feeling good now. Here's her next tumbling pass. Round off back handspring. Lay out with a triple twist. Of course, quite a bit of dance is required in floor, and there was a double turn. She kind of dropped her heel towards the end of that. Now they have to do one series in their floor routine where they actually kind of cover a large area of the floor. That's, you see her circling around the floor at that point. Round off, Arabian front, round off back handspring, lay out double twist.
Going into this routine, Wilhelm is in a three-way tie for second. So she really must perform her heart out, and I think she did.
That was probably one of her best performances that I've seen her do.
Anja Wilhelm bringing in a preliminary score of 9.8. And she should get all of that plus more after that routine.
Now here's her round off Arabian front walkout, round off against double fold. That's a required element, not that specific move, but they have to do at least one pass that involves two separate saltos.
So the 19-year-old from Wolfsburg, West Germany, is waiting to improve on her 9.8 preliminary score, and she does with a 9.863, giving her a total of 19.663. We're going to take a time. When we come back, the Romanians will be competing on the floor. She is from Diva, Romania, and she needs a 9.763 to defeat Anja Wilhelm of Germany. At the World Championships, Silivas placed first in floor exercise. This is her event.
And she can tumble. There's a layout full-in pike with a perfect landing. Excellent dance. We're looking at the world champion on floor exercise. And this is different music than she used in the World Championships just a couple months ago. There's a round off back handspring, layout double fall, punch front, hop into a tumbling pass, just like Shaposhkin of the Soviet Union. This is kind of a new trend on floor exercise where you see them doing one tumbling pass right into another, coming back the same way.
Her preliminary score was 9.9.
She's really polished. And now for her last tumbling pass. Double backflip. One step. She'll have no problem getting a good score there.
The 17-year-old from Diva, Romania, Danielle Silivas. Again, she needs a 9.763.
Now here's her second tumbling pass. It's a round off back handspring, layout double full, punch front flip, and then she hops right into another tumbling pass. This is kind of a new trend that we're seeing not only in women's gymnastics, but in men's also. And here's her dismount. It's a round off back handspring, double back flip, and she takes a step on the end, so that's probably really her only tumbling deduction in this performance. One thing that I've noticed, though, is that she has the ability to put out the big scores. She scored a 10-0 in compulsory, a 10-0 in the team optionals, and a 10-0 in the finals on floor exercise to win that gold medal. She was absolutely perfect.
That was at the World Championships just a few weeks ago, and actually that was with a different routine. She's changed it somewhat. It's a little bit more watered down.
Yeah, she's doing some easier tumbling passes than she did, so she may not get the 10-0.
Easier. Her preliminary score was 9.9. Who are we to say watered down? As she gestures to the little handheld video camera there, I believe. She's going to be in somebody's home movies.
Well, the Romanian women actually did a first in women's gymnastics. They scored back-to-back-to-back 10s in the team competition. 3 girls scored 10-0 right in a row at the World Championships.
That's a statement. The '88 Olympics might belong to Romania.